What was your how didn't they notice moment? I was playing hide and seek at a friend's with her younger nieces. I was a teenager and not super committed to playing games with a couple of 8-year-olds, and as a joke I put myself in a corner between a wall and a bookshelf, picked up a pillow off the bed, and held it in front of my face. I was immediately visible once you cleared the doorway. I'm not a small person, and from the chest down I was just a person standing, completely unobstructed. The kids came through, looked right at me, and kept searching with growing confusion. The friend, my age, came in behind them thinking I'd gotten somewhere in the closet, and I had to actually wave to catch her attention. Her dad even came through to join the hunt, and I had to actually clear my throat to get him to notice me. Nobody was able to spot me on their own. I was just standing in plain sight holding a pillow in front of my face, but nobody noticed. Once everybody figured it out, they were in hysterics. No one believed I'd been just standing there the entire time. They were certain that I had been hiding elsewhere in the house and then got caught after I'd moved. Nope, you all just can't see. I've perfected the art of standing so still that I've become invisible. One day my sister mentioned in front of my dad that she'd been helping me rearrange furniture at my house. Mentions my boyfriend. My dad is all surprised. You and your boyfriend sleep in the same room. By that point, we'd been living together for 6 years. It was my BF's house. My parents had been over dozens of times. Where did they think I slept? Oh, we assumed you slept in the guest room. By yourself. When my boyfriend, now husband, moved in together, my dad was concerned about sleeping arrangements. I told him we bought bunk beds, hahaha. I went for a job interview when I was 6 months pregnant. I wore a fitted pencil skirt and a fitted short blazer over the top. To my eyes the pregnancy was obvious. I was very slim and I had a belly that poked out at the front, well defined by the fitted outfit I wore. They didn't ask anything about it during the interview, so I assumed they were okay with it and didn't volunteer it. Got the job, and on the first day, at orientation, I got introduced to 2 other women who had been hired the same day for other roles in the admin office I was in. One was accounting assistant, one was admin coordinator, and I was admin assistant receptionist. The 2 other women were also pregnant. One looked enormously so, and as it turned out we were all due within the same week. The woman who hired us said to me happily that they were very excited to have us all start, and I would be getting trained by the new admin coordinator so I could take over some of her responsibilities when she went on maternity leave. I had to tell them that I was also very pregnant as well and would be needing to go on leave at the same time as the other 2 girls. The organization was stunned and didn't know what they were going to do when we all went on leave. Fortunately, they were very comfortable with me coming back to work and bring my baby with me after 2 months off. It worked out great and I stayed working there for around 8 years. Incidentally, all 3 of us gave birth within a day of each other, hahaha. Incidentally, all 3 of us gave birth within a day of each other, hahaha. Just when I thought the story couldn't get even cuter. When I was about 13, I shaved my little brother's eyebrow off. I don't know why. I panicked and drew it back on with a marker with little hope that I would get away with it and avoid my mom's anger. Somehow I got through the first day, then the first week, every day getting ready for school and Ray drawing his eyebrow on with a marker to hide it from my mom. After a couple weeks it had largely grown back and I realized that by some miracle I got away with it. Years later I came clean to my mom and she still refuses to believe that she didn't notice. My sister went to have a bath one night and shaved both her eyebrows off with my granddad's razor that he left in there. When she came out it was noticed immediately. She blamed me even though she entered with eyebrows and came out without them. Cue me and the boys playing hide and seek senior year. It's nighttime. Dark. It had previously rained. The only light is from street lights and my friend's garage. Friend A counts to 20 in the garage. We all scatter around the outside of his house and a bit further to some other houses. I decide to hide not 10 feet away, in the shadow of an AC unit right outside the garage. I was wearing full black, and I pulled my hood down to cover my entire face. I was in a crouched fetal position. I heard friend A walk past me about 5 times, from both directions. I peeked once and he even glanced directly my way. I was in plain sight. I felt like a ninja. We used to play this cause there was a big grass area in the center of the houses. I always changed to dark blue clothing before we played cause I'd read in a book how ninjas wore dark blue not black. I always won and stopped being asked to play. My hair used to be extremely long, like all the way down my back. On a whim, I decided to cut off most of it and rock a rather short haircut. I walked around my parents' place for over an hour before they actually noticed. My friend came to work wearing new glasses one day, and when she was showing them off to me I mentioned that I was surprised because I had no idea she needed glasses. She had been wearing glasses most days, on and off, for a year since we started working together. Multiple people confirmed this when I didn't quite believe her. Maybe I need glasses. Don't worry, my manager, who I sit next to and talk to regularly, didn't notice I needed glasses even though I have worn mine to work several times lol. I was the one who didn't notice. My now husband, way back in the early days of our dating, replaced our giant, bulky, old CRT TV with a nice, new flat screen with his Christmas bonus. He did not tell me any of this. I came home from work one day, wandered past the TV and him playing video games, into the bedroom, back past the TV, then the kitchen. Took me a good 45 minutes before I went wait, something is different and I don't know what. He still had to point out to me that what was different was the old TV was missing. I did that with my housemate at uni. She was watching it and hadn't noticed it had gone from a 22-inch to a 32-inch. In boot camp when it was lights out, many of the other recruits wouldn't sleep and would try to monologue to us about whatever. I wanted to sleep, since we always wake up at 5 AM, and they kept us awake till midnight with their debates. At the top of my motherfucking lungs I yelled bloody murder, shut the frick up. This went on for a while. Then I started doing it earlier and earlier, and towards the end I didn't even wait for lights out. No one besides my rack mates knew it was me. No one else ever figured out my voice or where it was coming from. My rack mates got a huge kick from it, and well, they kept it real because we needed our 4 to 6 hours of sleep. I remember those dang monologues. I don't understand what anyone thought it was supposed to accomplish. Yelling at them to shut up didn't even work in my division. I am a high school teacher in California, and while explaining something, I accidentally drew a huge dong on my board. Confirmed not one kid noticed. There are no accidents. I used to do customer service for a video game. Can't give details. Don't wanna get sued. Wherein I responded to email tickets. Before sending a ticket, you were required to create an internal note wherein you documented their response and what your response was going to be, plus any additional necessary info to help conduct a search. Once, I wrote in the internal describing their message saying, "Customer sent me a bunch of useless freaking crap," because, well, they had. After repeated clear instructions, they failed to send me the correct info. So I typed it to unleash the rage. Thought I deleted it. Then the next day I come in and see I have a response. And I go to start a new internal note and realize I had, in fact, left that line fully in the previous internal note, which can't be deleted or edited. Meaning that if anyone from the company or my workplace saw it, well, I'd be in a lot of crap. Thankfully, I did this around the holidays and we were swamped with other issues, so no one did any audits of tickets that week. Needless to say, I never played around with that again. Swamped with other issues. Bethesda it is then. So this was when I was still living with my hyper-religious and peculiar mother. Because she doesn't understand technology at all, I was able to get away with a lot. I played Skyrim in secret and she was used to me playing games, so she just ignored me for the most part if I was gaming in my room. If she knew I was playing Skyrim, with its dragons, Draugr, mages, Daedra, vampires, etc., she probably would have taken my PS3 and burned it, grounded me for months and slung hours of Bible guilt trips at me. Anyway, I had been playing for a bit, probably 30-50 hours into my first playthrough, my first time encountering a Draugr Death Lord. You know, the ones that fuss road you across the room. I was, foolishly, naively, playing without headphones, when I got blasted across the room 4 times in rapid succession. Suddenly I hear footsteps and pause the game just before my mother bursts into my room, looking from me to the TV screen with the sort of horrified, suspicious look anyone raised by hyper-Christian parents is familiar with. While I had paused the game, It was just the journal screen, which is translucent and you can see gameplay behind it. I happened to be face to face with a Draugr just then and had the mace of Molag Bal equipped. I thought for sure I was screwed. She asks, what are you playing? It sounds like a war game like Call of Duty or something. I heard explosions and missiles. I told her no, I wouldn't play such a game because I know she doesn't like them and I've seen the gameplay and regardless it's not my cup of tea. True. Her face brightened. Oh okay. Sorry to interrupt you, and flounces out. I heaved a sigh of desperate relief and started shopping for headphones. I was buying weed a few years ago. I pulled up to an apartment complex and was waiting for the weed dude when a window in the apartment in front of me opened. A second later a little girl, maybe 10-12, crawled out. I was 21 and buying weed, so my thought was, do I yell up? No, she could fall. Catch her, nope, there's bushes under there. Then she freaking jumped to the balcony next to the window, climbs over the railing, and tries to open the door, but she's locked out. She knocked and some irresponsible, seemingly confused parent opens it and lets her in. No one else saw. I was low-key expecting the girl to sell you weed though. I was in class of 25 students and spilled tea on my new laptop. I said frick decently loudly and ran my laptop to the bathroom. No one remembered seeing me spill the tea, hearing me say frick, or seeing me leave the class. When our class had a small party with teachers, we were watching a film or something. My classmate was sitting across the room from the door. No one saw him exit, only enter. I used to have long hair and my granny hated it. The day after I cut my hair, lost about 8 inches. I went to lunch with her and not only did she not notice, but when I pointed it out to her she didn't believe me until I showed her a photo of me from a week prior. Went through an entire enlistment in the Navy in a way where people thought I was dumb and I didn't bother to correct them. I let them think I was not able to fix things because they only assumed crap instead of actually asking me. I made E5 on the second try and dang near the entire command was confused as frick. I was an ET and the entire exam was on specifics about equipment maintenance and repair. To this day I get to talk to old crew members and they bring up how I fooled everyone into thinking I knew nothing so that they wouldn't bother me or wake me up from sleep to fix some crap. I straight up stole like 40 comic book treasuries from a box in a locked attic space by my parents' bedroom and kept them in my closet for years without getting caught. Dad decided that Calvin and Hobbes was a bad influence and banned all comics from the house for 2 years. My parents caught me literally every other time I disobeyed them. In college I lied about which train I took and got yelled at because the times I was texting didn't match up to when the train was predicted to arrive at certain stops. Mum thought I'd get rape murdered if I took the CTA to Chinatown. She wanted me to make my friends wait at their apartment while I took the metro down to them, and then take the CTA with the group up to Chinatown. I was 21 and it was the middle of the afternoon, but they didn't notice I'd taken the comics. And I know they weren't just letting me get away with that one because a couple of years ago my mom tried to claim the ban did help me behave better at school and was not happy when I informed her that couldn't be true. I stole back the comics almost immediately. Specifically, I stole the books right after being told that my attempt to earn them back with good behavior proved they were influencing me and therefore I wouldn't get them back for a year. Have to agree, Calvin and Hobbes is a bad influence. Before you know it, your garden is overrun with mutant snowmen, or you find yourself shouting the name of your kid's plushie in the middle of the night because they've lost it. Can confirm. Did it myself. My boyfriend and I initially started dating in high school. Our friend group was me and a bunch of guys, and I was relatively new to the group, and worried I'd become his girlfriend if we went public too quickly, so we kept it quiet. We later stopped caring. But it was too far in to make an announcement without seeming weird, so we decided to just admit everything if anyone ever asked, but not bring it up ourselves. Well, we weren't the couple that was all over each other in public, but we were fairly affectionate, always sitting next to each other, talking somewhat privately, playfully poking and all that. We would also hold hands on our way out of school, when we didn't see anyone around. That last one is what nearly caused problems the most. Regularly someone would come up behind us and say hi, and we'd quickly drop our hands. They never seemed to notice. Shockingly, our friends were really oblivious. We figured that they were probably noticing. but not saying anything. Until one day, somehow a conversation arose about how some people are closer in our group than others. Both of our names are mentioned, and they all say that we seemed like close friends. Somehow they all noticed we were close but never put two and two together. I know this because of the shock they experienced when they finally properly found out. We're still together, by the way. A few years ago, my friends and I were drunk as frick stumbling down the street to a McDonald's, where my best friend pulls out his dong and starts peeing and walking at the same time. While this is happening, a cop passes by and gets stuck at the light about 10 yards away from us. Literally all he had to do was look to his left and he would have seen 3 teenagers who can't even walk straight laughing their asses off because one is walking and peeing. Very grateful he didn't look. My life would be a lot different if he had caught us. Maybe you got lucky and it was a cop heading back to the station to end his shift. Cops in that scenario tend to turn a blind eye to small crap like that. I absolutely destroyed this thing at an old job of mine. I nervously looked around because my coworkers were all over the place and it was loud, but no one looked. I managed to compose myself, clean it all up and make it seem like nothing had happened, then finished the rest of my day. A week passed before they casually brought up that everyone knew and saw what happened but didn't want to help me. I was at work and needed to take the fattest crap. Now for my work I clean the toilet so I know when they are and aren't busy. So with that knowledge I choose whichever bathroom I please, men or women's. I had recently just gone into the men's one for some cleaning preparation and had seen how awful it was. So with my knowledge of the current toilet traffic and not wanting to sit on pee-covered toilet seats I decide to use the ladies' room. Me being a dude BTW. Now how these bathrooms work is it's a small room with a sink and shower and then in the corner of the room is a stall with a single toilet. The problem is that the lock for the bathroom itself was broken so I had only the stall lock to stop people from entering the toilet itself, but they could still enter the bathroom. I wasn't too phased and figured if anyone did come in they would see the stall being used and just go somewhere else. So here's where I get myself in some trouble. I'm sitting on the toilet chilling on my phone when I had a lady enter. Now the plan was to stay quiet and just let her leave after she realized it's occupied. But dumbass blurted out in the manliest voice ever, "UHH, someone's in here." Instantly the woman starts raging saying how it's a women's bathroom and I shouldn't be in here. I tell her I've never been here before and that I just walked into the wrong bathroom. She couldn't stand me and says she going off to find the manager of the place and have me taken out. I'm crapping myself. Literally. Not only am I in the women's toilet, I'm also dirtying it while I'm meant to be cleaning it. Oh, and also I'm on the clock too. I'm getting paid for this right now. So I'm definitely getting fired if my boss knows what happened. Never before have I wiped my butt so quickly. I pull up my pants and prepare for the shame of exiting the bathroom and having the manager waiting for me. To my surprise I walk out and no one is there. I'm thinking sweet, no one will ever know. When about 30 meters to my left I see the women with the manager pointing to me. I turn around and begin heading the other way, but not before I notice them walking towards me. Now again for context, between me and them was a room in the middle of the place that you could loop around. So I begin to go around it and about halfway there I stop and think they'll be going the other way to cut me off. So I double back and sprint to the cleaning supply room with gallons of sweating dripping from my face. And well, they never noticed and I was never caught and I occasionally still crap in there from time to time. The only difference is I've been practicing my girl voice. In high school I got pulled over for doing just a whole bunch of stuff, mostly related to trying to get away from the cop. He asked me why I did it and I said I was trying to get home by curfew at 1 o'clock. Then I looked at the clock and realized it was already like 3 o'clock, so I changed my story. Just got a warning. Shoulder leaned into it. Son, it's 3 AM. And now you see my problem. My parents are very strict and don't allow me or my siblings to have electronics in our bedrooms, but we'll ignore that rule and continue doing whatever we do online at night. One morning my mother came into my room to wake me up before school started and opened my curtains, which are on the window next to my bed. On the windowsill behind the curtains is where I keep my laptop, Nintendo Switch Lite, phone and sometimes iPad. She proceeded to rip my covers off and said get up before leaving my room. I had never felt utter panic before then. God, there are very few things I hate more than having my covers ripped off in the morning. When I'm all naked and tender and vulnerable, it's the worst way to be woken up. Nothing like burning hot rage to get you going in the morning. I am in my school's theater tech class. It's really fun and I love all the cool crap we get to do. We have this thing called the wash. It's a metal catwalk above the audience where lights shine to the stage. For this play we had to shoot poppers onto the stage. There were 3 of us. The other 2 decided to wait for my popper to go as their cue. My popper didn't go, so theirs didn't either. I was terrified the tech teacher would yell at us after the show, but he didn't. About a week later my friend, she was working by the doors, told me she saw the teacher walk in and say, "Did the poppers go? Look so good they did," and then ran back out the door. IDK what this man saw, but the poppers sure as heck didn't go, so it wasn't them. One time when I still in school my mother walked into my room in the middle of my acid trip and asked me what I was doing up. I turned around instantly with probably the craziest look on my face and said I couldn't sleep. She told me to go to bed and shut my door. Tripped freaking balls that night. One time I got absolutely baked on a bushwalk with my sister and mother. It was painfully obvious to me how high I was, but my mother still suggested I drive home to get my ass up. A couple years ago I was doing no shave November, so I had built up a decent growth of beard, and on the last day of the month I decided to shave just half my face and keep it for 24 hours before I took the rest off too. So for one day I went around campus with beard only on the left half of my face, and you could tell that at least 80% of people's brains just extrapolated the second half of my beard because they didn't blink, while the remaining fraction would turn their heads as I walked by. I was talking about it with some friends outside my class while waiting for my professor at one point, and when she arrived my friends tried to show her my face, and it took a full 30 seconds and her putting her face a foot away from mine and peering before she suddenly jumped back and exclaimed, "Oh my gosh." At some point halfway through class she even stopped her lecture to tell me, "I really see it now and your face is very distracting." A college buddy of mine did that years ago. People ignored it because they thought he was a show-off who shouldn't get the attention he thought he deserved. I developed bulimia and I don't think I hid it well until I mentioned it to my dad recently. No one had noticed. It sort of started as a conversion disorder when I was anxious, but I lost 20 pounds and became 100 pounds. I felt compelled to vomit after I ate. Still do. It's been a rough 8 months. Also during this time I became addicted to the tranquilizers I was given to treat my conversion disorder when it went away, and I'm trying to quit them right now. Eating disorders can be heck. I hope the next 8 months are incrementally and ultimately infinitely better than the last. Keep breathing through the urge and find better things to do. You'll make it. 3. When I was 10, I took a crap inside the ruins of a medieval fortress. My grandpa walked by while I was doing my thing. Fortunately for me, he was too absorbed in his thoughts and didn't notice me, even though there were no doors. OP. Thank you for making this thread. I remembered the greatest achievement in my life. I can't believe I have never shared this story to anyone over some drinks. That was crappy, dude. I can't believe you've done this. My freaking leg was gushing blood and my parents were just like, "Why aren't you in your room studying? You'll be a failure if you don't study hard enough." Like, bruh. Haircut. I always wait 3 months between haircuts and cut down to 1 stroke 2 inch on top and shaved on the sides. Wife rarely notices. Beard. I let my beard grow out and my wife complains. I shave it off and she doesn't notice for hours or even a day. You know she might be pretending not to notice so as to not make a big deal out of it, so you do it more without her feeling like a nag. At least that's how it is for me and my husband's beard. Perhaps this was just clever on my part. When I was about 8 years old, I wrote my name on my bed frame in pen. My mom discovered it and was livid. "How are we ever going to sell this bed frame with your name on it?" I told her, "I did that when I was like 6 and you already yelled at me for it." She bought it. Couldn't believe she was that gullible. First, here's some background info. In 8th grade Spanish class, I was one of the few people who paid attention and it really showed. Some people say my normal speaking voice is like a whisper. It doesn't seem like that to me, but a lot of people say it. I would always answer questions and this kid who literally knew nothing always would steal my answers. And surprise surprise, I was right and they didn't actually know anything. On worksheets he would always demand I give him the answers. I made him figure it out on his own. One day he kept asking, so I threw a pencil at him. The moment it hit him, the teacher turned away from the board to the class. I was so sure she'd seen it. It felt like she was looking at us. I tried to play it off like I was just waving my pencil back and forth out of boredom, but she didn't even notice I threw the pencil at him. She probably saw but was done with his crap, so pretended she didn't. In middle school, I kicked a kid in the face. He was messing with my shoe, right in front of the teacher. She pretended she saw nothing. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.